Hey guys, and welcome back to Twilight Princess. Well, we're a wolf now, and in jail. I'd like to say this is the worst thing that's ever happened to HFC, but we did cover some really bad Sonic games for a number of years, so swings and roundabouts, really. And speaking of prison, it's kind of a running thing for Zelda. We got any examples, mate?
We've got plenty. Link has to escort Zelda at the very beginning of A Link to the Past. Link has to escort some carpenters out of a prison in Ocarina of Time.
Of course.
He himself gets thrown in jail in Wind Waker. He has to bust out Tingle. And he gets all his items taken away when he gets thrown in the Elden Volcano prison.
Remember kids, prison's bad. Don't end up in there.
Unless Nintendo throws you in there. Then it's the start of an adventure.
Here we have one of the more, I want to say, divisive companions or partners in the Zelda franchise. Definitely not as reviled as, say, Navi. But what do you think about Midna?
Well, I've said it before, I played Twilight Princess well after its release. So, I got fully exposed through the internet of the love towards Midna, how, oh my gosh, she's the best character ever, she's so cool, and I was like, alright, I'll take your word on it, internet. And I played, and at the very beginning, I couldn't get it. I hated her. She's so upfront, she's so bitchy, and she's got her own motives and doesn't even give a shit about Link's well-being. But, like all good characters, she develops through the story, and eventually, yes, I did join the Midna fan club by the end.
I'm not really a fan of sassy characters who also have kind of like a hard edge to them. Sassy I can deal with, bitchy not so much. And yeah, I hated Midna at first, but as you say, she defrosts over time and becomes tolerable. I don't really think she's my favourite of the partner characters. I'd probably give that accolade to maybe Spirit Zelda from Spirit Tracks. But for what she is, Midna's pretty good.
You can tell that they made her abrasive, so the whole point would be, oh man, she changes so quickly, but you guys can tone it down. Character development can happen subtly. It doesn't need to be day and night.
Well, you can either have this, or you can have 5/3 from Skyward Sword, where you get nothing, and then the game attempts to make you feel, what's the word I'm looking for here? Sad?
Annoyed?
Annoyed, yes. Annoyed or sad when she goes away at the end.
Master Tom, did you know there is a 30% chance that this commentary part will suck?
Look forward to those types of jokes when we eventually reach Skyward Sword, guys. Again, this is just one of those many things that I did not like about Midna at the beginning, and I'm sorry, there's going to be a lot of bitching in this part, maybe the next one, I think.
Midna, maybe you should check your humanoid privilege, okay? Just because I'm an animal doesn't mean you can pick my ear.
I feel like I'm a lycanthrope at heart, honestly.
Midna riding on the back of Link is, once again, an idea that Miyamoto had, but unlike the entire tutorial, this is an actually really good idea, probably because it's based on actual fact. The reason he has Midna riding Link is because he believed that having her on would be more interesting than just seeing Wolf Link run. And it makes sense. When you see something bipedal running, you get to see the whole profile. You see the movement in their arms, their legs, and everything. But with a quadruped, all you see is their butt.
Okay.
So it's just to make it more interesting, and yeah, it does. It also allows for some gameplay elements, but it's all an aesthetic reason.
Speaking of aesthetics, obviously Wolf Link is like a very greenish, a grey kind of colour. But with Midna, you get that splash of orange and yellow, so yeah, it pops.
I really do like how Wolf Link has that green to him. I mean, I guess real-life wolves have green, because, you know, wolves can't get baths all the time, but it is kind of cool, because it's like, remember, Link has a green hat, and so the hat sort of blends into the fur.
Well, not yet, but we'll get to that. But I think we should address the wolf in the room, shall we say. What do you think about Wolf Link as a whole, both in terms of, like, concept and just the way he plays?
Concept? Good idea. I mean, Legend of Zelda has really good transformations. I mean, look at Majora's Mask if you want really great examples. So,
yep.
Wolf Link is pretty cool because it's not just, oh, another species. This is a completely different animal altogether. Unfortunately, the good things about Wolf Link stop at concept.
Yeah.
Because once you get into gameplay, he's not well fleshed out. I'm going to go back to Majora's Mask because those are going to be your good examples. When you have one of the forms, you get new attacks, specific weapons, you can talk to certain people and get different dialogue depending on your form, and people treat you differently. Wolf Link, you got wolf vision and digging? And that's it. The combat is pretty much the same too. I mean, with Zora Link, you got the cool long-range boomerang. Goron Link, you got extremely hard-hitting punches as well as the roll. And Deku Link, well, Deku Link was meant to be pathetic, so we'll just leave it at that. But all of Wolf Link's moves are derived from his Hylian form. It's just, oh, instead of slash, it's a tail slash. Instead of a jump slash, oh, it's a jump tail slash. Like, okay, it's the same thing.
Minna says as much. She's like, you haven't forgotten your instincts, have you? Well, no, not really, but I'd like to be able to do, you know, maybe a rip out the heart attack, which you can do on one enemy who isn't really mandatory, but we'll get to that when we get to that. As a concept, I'm kind of mixed, because going back to, like, the beta or original idea for Twilight Princess, it was going to be, like, a lot more, I want to say nature-themed. It seemed like it would be nature-themed anyway, with a lot heavier emphasis on, you know, talking with animals, communing with nature again. But now it's more Ocarina of Time 2-esque, and I think a little bit got lost in translation, personally.
It's the problem with Twilight Princess. Remember, the actual gameplay focus of Twilight Princess was increase horseback combat. Unfortunately, they were also like, but that's not enough. How about wolf transformations? But at that point, now that you have two gameplay cores, one's gonna be a lot stronger than the other, and the horseback combat was the stronger core. Wolf Link and all of the gameplay around him really seems like an afterthought. It was sort of like, oh yeah, we kind of thought of that. Maybe we should, you know, fix it.
I like the parallels where, you know, you had Link riding an animal, and now Link is an animal being ridden by someone else, but combat-wise, the trade-off just isn't that great. I really dislike Wolf Link combat, especially against aerial enemies, which we'll be seeing quite shortly, actually.
That is really a big problem because, once again, Wolf Link is a quadruped, yet he has to deal with more aerial and taller enemies. It makes no sense. He's at a disadvantage from the get-go. Hylian Link, you know, he's a pretty tall lad. He can take on aerial enemies and it makes more sense. Wolf Link is like, I gotta jump for it! I can't reach it! And it just becomes futile.
You'd think if he kept his instincts, he'd have the smarts to, like, put a sword in his mouth or tie one to his tail and swish about using that for a bit more of an edge. You know, a bit like a Sora in Kingdom Hearts 2, but no.
That is a pretty good comparison. I do like Cub Sora.
Oh no, bats! How will we ever defeat this monolithic enemy? Just by lunging at him.
Or memes.
Yeah.
Now here's what I said about, even though Minna riding is an aesthetic choice, they do add a gameplay element to her riding, and that she's now your long jump target. I guess Wolf Link suffers from nearsightedness, and he can't tell where he's jumping if it's more than 2 inches away from him?
Well, you say that, but he's literally just become a wolf. I don't think he's accustomed to, you know, jumping large gaps at this point in time.
I figured the issue would have been the color palette. Everything blends into everything, so he needs Midna's orange hand to guide him along the way.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, can you tone down the orange hue, please? Like, ease off on the bloom.
Like, I get it. Sepia was kick-ass when you used it in Hyrule Castle and Wind Waker, but did you really need to make an entire world of nothing but sepia and monochrome?
A part of me kind of longed for the original Twilight design, where it wasn't actually Twilight at all, it was just black and white.
That would have been really cool, you know, just Timeless River, black and white, not even try and go for fancy.
Well, I gotta say, they kind of learned from their mistake here, because the Silent Realms in Skyward Sword really look purty.
I do also like how, even though it's raining, you see these, like, black particles floating up, so it sort of gives it an otherworldly thing. It's almost like, what are the physics of the Twilight Realm?
God knows, mate, but apparently wolves and imps get along just fine, eh?
It's a land of love.
Not that kind of love. As if, you know, it was anything else. Yeah, it's Hyrule Castle.
I was confused. I thought it was the water temple at first, and I was preparing the anger.
I thought it was Woodfall, personally.
Oh, that's another good choice. Even as a wolf, you cannot escape block-pushing puzzles. Why?
Would you really call that a puzzle? If that was a puzzle, that would be the most tamest puzzle ever in Zelda.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure most of the puzzles in Skyward Sword are on that caliber.
I'm not going to deny, I had to re-record the footage for parts 3, 4, and 5 in a bit of a hurry, but even so, really dislike fighting against aerial enemies.
Once again, when you have a short character going against stuff that's in the air, it doesn't work. It's frustrating. And I don't care about how well you can take down these enemies. Just imagine how much easier it would be if Wolf Link had, at least a couple inches on him.
And you might say, well, it's a bit easier to use the spin attack or, just a normal shake attack. They're mostly going to be hovering in mid-air, so unless you want to wait, your lunge attack is the best option.
Yeah, and it's the only attack that has any sort of altitude on it. Unfortunately, this entire early area is nothing but narrow corridors, so your lunge attack is most likely going to send you off the edge at least once.
Mm-hmm.
But the noise they make is pretty cool, and the battle music being all, off-key synth, that's pretty cool.
It gives me the willies, actually.
It adds a techno vibe to the Twilight Realm. Even though Twilight Princess doesn't have too much technology yet, it sort of makes the Twilight Realm feel very technological. Fuck those boxes.
Shasha. Well, we gotta be refreshed if we're gonna be talking to royalty.
I thought we were just talking to the post salesman. I mean, cloak, dark area. Where's my bottle?
I want this character as a playable character in Hyrule Warriors. I think the cloaked aspect would give him a bit of an edge in combat.
Or her, I guess.
Are we really gonna pretend we don't know who this character is?
Oh, the tension! It's so forced and fake! I can't contain it!
Even Midna can't believe this shit.
Even Midna doesn't give a shit about your plot. We're gonna make Midna the new Speedwagon. Even Midna gives no fucks.
Okay, this is basically gonna be a lot of exposition, then a fancy Lord of the Rings-esque cutscene.
The whole point of this beginning area is to throw you off of the title. I mean, the game is called Twilight Princess, and for anyone who's played more than one Zelda game, you've probably figured out who the Twilight Princess is, but then they throw this cutscene in the vain effort that maybe they can throw you off of who's the Twilight Princess. Oh my god! But no.
Yeah, there's two options. Who's it's gonna be? It's gonna either be Zelda or Midna.
Or Salia?
No.
Oh.
And that's sorry to you, you weeaboo.
You say gods, yet I'm pretty sure they're goddesses. But that's just me being pedantic about fictional mythology.
They're just asking for a smiting. The goddesses are gonna bring down Majora, and you're gonna have the whole Terminus shit happen again.
Or they can bring a flood. They've done that before. They're petty.
When are we gonna get the game that shows the flood and Link dying at the end?
I thought that was the plot of Hyrule Warriors.
It'd be amazing if just randomly the clouds, burst and the entire land gets flooded. The end.
Haven't you noticed that the scarf is blue?
Blue like the sea?
Oh my god, we're reaching NeoGAF levels of speculation now.
Believe.
Trick or treat!
Man, they do Halloween hardcore in Hyrule.
Well, Zelda gives the best candy. She doesn't even give those little fun-size packs. She gives them full bags of Skittles.
Oh, they've come for my Maltesers. Damn you dark beings from hell.
Swag in 3, 2. I'm surprised he didn't bring any of the flyers into this invasion.
Yeah, try hitting me, you bastard. Oh.
You gotta give Twilight Princess some credit. Even though it doesn't have as many memorable tunes as other Zelda games, the sound direction is top-notch. Surprisingly, in the sound effect department, you wouldn't consider that to be a gem of a game, but Twilight Princess has really good sound cues.
Yeah, definitely. Especially, well, I can't really say his name yet, but we'll call him the Twilight King for now.
Oh, come on, Zelda. You didn't even try. You could have sent your unicorn or your Nazi zombie rats or something, but no? You just gave up right there?
I think you've been playing a bit too much Stick of Truth, mate, and that's rich coming from me because I completed it 3 times. I think I did every classic set warrior, and that was a very Link-esque statue.
Maybe the goddesses made Link in their image, and thus he is gorgeous.
You say that as a joke, but now that I'm actually thinking about it, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so there's the kicker of actual Twilight, is that people turn into little flames.
Not fireflies.
No, and then everyone watches the castle burning too. It's like, no one wants to go get water? No? Just stand around? Look at it? Let's rubberneck this situation.
Oh, shit, man, do you see that guy go in there? He screams like a banshee. I ain't touching that.
And that's my story.
Just in case you weren't watching the cutscene, yeah, the castle was on fire. Now it's not.
Good, good. I'm glad someone eventually went to put it out.
Realised what he was doing and, like, got the fire department in. Shit, I want to live here. Better put it out.
Once he took over, he had full command of all the fire departments.
Dun dun dun. That's kind of a biased opinion, really, for being from the Twilight Realm.
It's like when the villain says, you know, being evil ain't all that bad. Well, no shit, look how far it's gotten you before I stick my sword in your face.
When Midna gets like this, she is a really enjoyable character, just sassy and sarcastic. Not abrasive, you don't need to be abrasive.
Yeah, she doesn't really need to, like, pick on Link, but when she's just pointing out the obvious and how stupid most of the other characters are being about the obvious, oh, she's at her best.
Yep. What do you think about the Twilight Princess design of Zelda?
Really good. I'm actually disappointed, and this is a spoiler? No, I'm not quite sure. They did have a Sheik design for Twilight Princess, and they didn't use it. It later got used in Brawl, but come on, it would have been so cool to see Twilight Princess Sheik.
They actually used that again for Smash Bros. 4, and Sheik is now a separate character, so that's pretty cool.
About time.
I wonder if Sheik, or Zelda, I guess, are going to be playable characters in Hyrule Warriors, because Impa from Skyward Sword was confirmed.
She's got that kick-ass broadsword.
Hell
yes!
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to that game. I apologize if I keep bringing it up.
Bringing up upcoming video games in a Hellfire Comms playthrough? Oh my god!
It's like when we cover Zelda games, we talk about every other Zelda game apart from the one we're actually playing.
All I spent Ocarina of Time was like, do you recognize this trope? Well, it's in all of these other games, and now that we're on those other games, I have no idea what to talk about anymore.
Ocarina was the base for 3D games. You gotta, like, bring in the comparisons and whatnot.
I like how Wolf Link's face has one setting, perpetually grumpy.
Yeah, default wolf face.
Oh, no, there we go. There's surprised Grumpy Wolf. No, please, don't make Ilya post-sexually. Don't do that, please, God.
Well, it's not doing anything for Link, apparently.
So see, once again, when she's taunting characters, bad.
But when she's sarky and a bit sassy, it's all good. We'll see more of this on the next part of Twilight Princess. See you then.